Awesome. Well, it looks like we've got a few people in the audience now, and it is 6 past 6 if you're in Europe, and 6 past the hour in various other time zones as well. So, thank you all so much for coming to join in with this live Unity workshop, our first one in partnership with our good friends over at Lamina1. So, big shout out to everyone in the audience tuning in. And also a big thank you to Lamina1. So from their team, we have Will, Gordo, and Casey. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you. We're excited to kick off.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this.
Awesome. So, yeah, I mean, do you guys want to give yourselves a quick introduction? Casey, let's start with you.
Awesome. Yeah, I recognize a lot of folks and a lot of names in this, but I'm Casey Halter, aka Ivy St. Ive. I'm the head of content and community at Lamina1. And yeah, we've been working super closely with the Emergence open meta team to make these workshops happen. So great to see you all.
Likewise,
And Will.
It's good to see a lot of you. To those I haven't seen, great to meet you. I'm Will, CTO of Lamina1. Been working on building out the Lamina1 infrastructure, and excited to finally have really good integration so that you guys can start building compelling experiences on it. Gordon? Oh, it is Gordon.
He's currently off the stage.
There he is.
Thanks, sorry
Gordon,
about
welcome
that.
back.
I am Gordon Matty, Chief Product Officer of Lamina1. I probably won't be speaking very much on this call, but excited to be here and start getting tooling in front of developers to support building on the Lamina1 network. So this is an exciting moment for us. Thank you all.
Fantastic. And Tom, let's start with you, as you're going to be delivering the workshop today. If you could introduce yourself to everyone, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm Tom. I'm the lead Unity developer at Crucible. So I'm currently building the Unity SDK that we're using today for this demo.
Awesome. And Chris, we've got you tomorrow for Unreal Engine. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Chris. I do the same thing as Tom, but on Unreal. And yeah, I'm going to be doing it tomorrow, and today I'm just here to answer any questions about general Emergence things, as well as do banter, apparently.
I love it. Kicking off strong already with the banter. And we have Ryan in the on the stage as well. Ryan, I'm guessing everyone knows who you are, but the floor is yours.
Sorry, I got a mouthful of food. Yeah, I'm the founder, and I started this 2018, kind of been building it along the path of the last couple of years, have compiled like an amazing team here with deep expertise across both game engines, game development, and Web3. And we're building for all of you and companies like Lamina1, so this is really exciting.
Awesome. And I'm Alistair, also known as Beard on the Block community lead here at Open Meta, and I'm really excited to be, for this to be the first event that we're doing, or workshop that we're doing with Lamina1, but also to bring you more events and workshops in partnership in the future. So, as mentioned, this is the Unity workshop. It's the first in a series of hands-on workshops for developers to get to know the Emergence SDK, which has been built by Crucible Networks, and also learn how to use the SDK to start building on Lamina1. Just in a nutshell, the Emergence SDK makes Web3 really easy and accessible for game developers. So, in this workshop, it's going to be fairly high level. We won't go into too much detail on these. We will be going into more in-depth workshops further down the line. So if you want to jump in and get stuck in, this is just an intro to give you the tools, help you get set up. And if you want to run ahead before the next workshop, we really strongly encourage that. And if you run into any questions, just head over to chat Emergence SDK or developer support channels in our Discord over here. But coming up on the horizon, once we've done this, is NFTs, avatars, and Web3 world building. So this one is more targeted towards beginners or intermediate level. But yeah, this is going to give you a general overview on how to get the Emergence kit set up on your machine and connected to the Lamina1 blockchain.
And I wanted to also jump in real quick before we move on. These workshops are absolutely meant to be for education, to teach you the tools, to enable you to be able to build on the Lamina1 chain. But both of our companies are extremely, interested in the follow through, and so we really want to reward teams that sort of do follow through with the tools and really start building things. So we offer, spotlights in the future with the projects that you're building. I think we both have kind of bounties and rewards that we'll offer to projects that kind of roll out of this. So I think at the end of this we'll talk a little bit more in detail, but I just wanted to make sure that people understand that the education here is really meant to enable for what you're building, and we want to put a focus on the actual building.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, there will be incentives for you to build using Emergence and also build on the Lamina1 blockchain. We've got some bounties that will be released this week as well, following the Unreal workshop, so everyone's starting on an even playing field. But yeah, let's get into it. Tom, over to you. Oops, sorry, no, I've skipped here. My bad. Casey, over to you.
Yeah,
a quick Lamina1 intro.
Yeah, I wanted to just give a quick overview of what Lamina1 is. I think we've got a lot of L1 community members in here, but for anyone who is tuning in from Open Meta and just kind of stumbling upon what we're up to today, Lamina1 is a blockchain founded by author and futurist Neil Stephenson, technologist and investor Peter Vesinis, and entertainment executive Rebecca Barkin. And our mission is, kind of nodding back to what Ryan said, we're built to empower open metaverse creation, right? So we're a layer 1 chain optimized for open metaverse use cases. We've got a growing suite of creator tools, and we're also developing this really nice, polished, sort of consumer-grade user experience, interface, and design that's built to make it as easy as possible, both for world builders to launch, distribute, get paid for their work in the open metaverse, as well as people who want to explore metaverse experiences to just get like up and running, exploring, managing their assets and identities super quickly, right? So we've got, I'm going to drop a link, but if you're interested in checking out what we're up to at Lamina1 and where we're at, we're currently in BetaNet, and we have a platform called the Lamina1 Hub, which we say is kind of like your gateway to the open metaverse, where a bunch of our on-chain activity is housed. So just drop the link in there. But also just as like a little plug, we announced last week actually that we're partnering with Avalanche to bring our ecosystem of over 50,000 open metaverse creators to their blockchain. Super exciting development in our sort of history. We've been out for about a year, and I think this partnership obviously is coming at a great time. We're about ready to start onboarding a bunch of builders onto our platform to start developing spaces and asset collections on Lamina1. And yeah, this workshop is kind of the way that we wanted to kick it off with Open Meta, so that we can start giving world builders the tools they need to be able to start doing that. So that's my little gist. Definitely check us out at Lamina1. I'll also drop the website link in here. But yeah, I don't want to take up too much time. Let's definitely dive into the workshop.
Fantastic. Tom, over to you. I'll give a quick overview of Open Meta for those who are new here at the end. So make sure to stay tuned. But we're all here to listen to Tom. Your floor.
Okay. I'm just gonna run through sort of 3 checks of. I see some people are sort of starting to say that in the chat as well. But you're gonna need 1.1. Well, it's actually a bit less than 1.1, but it's safer to have 1.1 L1 tokens. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're ahead of me in the chat. If we're gonna also show how to use the Emergence avatar system as well, so you'll need some Matic for that. We're gonna show it in the demo anyway. It's not essential to like the L1 stuff that we're gonna be showing, but it's good to have it if you do. Yeah, make sure that you've got the Unity package downloaded. You should have already been sent that link, but I'm sure if anyone in the chat says they haven't got it, someone will get that to them. I'm using Unity version 2020.1. Sorry, 2021.3. Unity's version system is difficult to keep track of. It's 2021.3, but 2022 and 2023 should also work as well. And yeah, you're going to need a code editor installed potentially for some of the code stuff that we're looking at later. But I have one installed, so you can just follow along with me if that's easier for you. So let me start sharing my screen. Okay, great. So this is just, I've opened the project. I've imported the package already, just because that can take a few minutes. And I didn't want people to sit and just watch the loading bar go up. But once you've got it, you want to go into Emergence, samples, Lamina1 demo, Lamina1 demo scene, and then open this L1 demo scene. So the only thing to mention is that you might not have it set, but in project settings, which you can access, I think it should just be window project settings, or you can go file, build settings, player settings to get to it. And then in this player section, under configuration, you need active input handling set to both. During the import of the package, it should prompt you to do this, but if it doesn't prompt you, that's how you fix that. It will cause an error if you don't have that set to both.
Do you want to just show them where the import package button is?
Oh, yeah, sure. So it's just assets, import package, custom package, and then just browse to the L1 package. Okay. I'm about ready to sort of start, but I'm going to quickly check the chat here. Is there anyone? No. Okay, I'm good to go then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, all good.
So I'm running this from the editor because we're going to dive in and look at some code later. But of course, like, you could build this out if you prefer to do that. I've got a fresh wallet set up here with 1.1 L1 tokens in, and I've got a little bit of Matic in there as well. So this is going to be what you're going to see the first time you load up the demo scene. So I'm going to walk over to this first button here. So we're going left to right, opening the overlay, press E to activate, and then I get this QR code. I'm going to scan that with MetaMask on my phone. I sign that, and it's going to load, and then you'll see that I don't have a persona, an Emergence persona already created. So I'm going to create one of those. So the first thing it's going to ask me to do is to select an avatar, because this is a fresh wallet. I don't have any avatars, but we'll go through in a minute what it looks like. Get an avatar set up, and then I'm just going to create a persona, Tom, that's my name, and then name Tom at Crucible. Yeah, okay.
For anyone who's curious, a persona is kind of like a way of us linking like a name and an avatar together. So it's a name, an avatar, and a bio, and this can act as your sort of identity within the metaverse. And these are stored in our cloud service so that you can have them across different game worlds.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see here that I could press this add and create a new persona to do that, and at the moment this is just the default Unity avatar, so that's what it's set as my profile picture. So what I'm gonna do first thing is come over to this Emergence avatars section over here, and I'm just going to swap in MetaMask to Polygon and activate this. It would be good if I had screen sharing on my phone, but I don't, unfortunately. So,
One of the things that we have as well is like this is an example of the EAS system that we have. So when you saw Tom create the avatar there, he only had the default option, whereas what we're going to show you here is a way that you can. We've got this other NFT which has an avatar associated with it, and this is on this particular one's on Polygon, but of course we could have some on other chains, Lamina1, and this will show up in the UI once Tom's minted it.
Oh, okay. I don't know what's happening here, but the request isn't making it through to my wallet. So we'll move on to the L1 stuff. It's like, okay, my MetaMask is all frozen. Okay, that is live demos for you. Well, I'll swap to another persona in a minute, and we can show off what the avatar system looks like. I don't know why my MetaMask is okay. Let's move on to the L1 stuff, and we'll come back to avatars. For some reason, okay, yeah. That is actually something. I guess you know more about Chris, but there are some issues with the iOS MetaMask app.
Yeah, we noticed recently that there have been some recent updates that they pushed where it will just freeze on iOS, which is not ideal, as you can imagine. We've tried to work around those, but they push updates every 2 weeks, and you end up with a new thing to fix.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's move on to the L1 stuff. So I don't know if Will or Goro, you kind of want to introduce like what the token that we're minting.
Or we can.
Will or Gordon, you're on mute.
You for telling me I'm on mute. Yeah, so the token we're minting here is a pretty standard NFT. We did include a 3D asset within it, so this is using the same kind of JSON metadata standard that OpenSea uses for storing 3D asset information. So it has both a snapshot image for previews and a kind of like 2D user interface, and then also IPFS link to the 3D asset, and it's something that anyone can mint, so it has an open minter function. I believe we set the price to 1L1, but you guys should be able to get it. It's a trophy that kind of represents your participation workshop, but it's also something you can take and kind of modify for your own use cases. It's a pretty standard NFT, so it'll be very similar to similar kind of collectible NFTs you'd see out there. I think I don't know that we've open sourced it. We could also, we could share the code for it as well.
You can actually see the code for it on the Lamina1 blockchain explorer, which is great.
Yeah, so we'll take a look at that blockchain explorer in just a second. So I'm gonna hit the button here and mint, and I think this MetaMask. Okay, I might need to swap to the video because I think this MetaMask issue is sort of, it's not letting me mint anything. I might just try restarting, but okay, let's sign in.
We might end up doing a Blue Peter. Here's one we made earlier.
Oh, okay. I've signed back in, and my MetaMask is happy. So my L1 transaction has gone through. Emergence in the background now is going to go to the blockchain and check that that transaction has gone through. Also, I don't know if you're able to quickly send me the link, Chris, but you can look on the smart contract on the block explorer, and you'll be able to see the transaction there as well. But just to kind of show off, one of the cool things about Emergence is because you can get all of that into the game engine. I can press this second button here that's going to check if I've got the trophy minted, and if I do, hooray!
Do you have the?
It spawns a game object in.
Do you have the hash for the?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
If you want to put the hash in the chat, then we can.
I believe it should be this one. I will find it, actually. It's a good chance to sort of show what's going on behind the scenes, which is what we're going to dig into next.
Do you have it in the console, maybe?
I have it here. It is this one.
Alright.
Yay. So, you can see it here on the BetaNet Explorer. You see 2 minutes ago this transaction. So that was just checking because this is a fresh wallet. Yeah, this was me. This is my wallet address. So you can see here that I've made the call, and that's minted. It's confirmed in Emergence as well with a read transaction that we'll look at in just a moment. And since I've just signed back in and had success with MetaMask, I'm going to just try this avatar as well. But yeah, I guess on the L1 side, is there anything you guys want to talk about in terms of like your block explorer and like what you're building now?
And the block explorer we have right now is pretty early stages. It's one we open sourced. We forked from an open source library, but it's a standard EVM block explorer that you would see for most EVM chains like Polygon, like Ethereum. With the new partnership with Avalanche, we will be kind of adopting their block explorer by default. We're also talking to a couple other block explorers that have kind of a more tailored focus towards maybe NFTs, in assets, and social activity. And that'll be important because, like, if you saw that block explorer, it's very bare bones. It's very developer focused. As some of the new partnerships and integrations we're looking at will give you a bit more context as to what's going on chain. So item transfers and kind of showcase them front stage because we think that's probably going to be maybe some of the more interesting transactions to the bulk of our users. So that'll be something any of our developers who build on our chain will also get by default. So you'll have a block explorer that's tailored more towards kind of metaverse usage rather than the vanilla EVM explorer that you generally see.
Okay, cool, thanks. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to sign into one of my other wallets that has avatars already set up. We can just talk a bit about avatars. So you can see here, this is the Emergence example avatar. It's a VRM model loaded in, and when I look at my persona that I've got set up here, oh, it seems like I can't. Maybe there's an issue getting to the EAS.
I was just going to say, for context, the avatar that Tom's got loaded here is the one that you mint on the station on the right. So it's you mint this NFT. It's an ERC721, and it's got EAS data associated with it. An EAS is our system. It stands for Emergence Avatar System. You associate a VRM. We currently only support VRMs. We're planning on moving to other, well, not moving to, but allowing for other types of models in the future, like GLTF, maybe FBX, if we can figure out how to do it. But basically, it when the NFT is associated with this data, it will show up in Emergence, and if the user selects it to be associated with their persona, when they bring that persona in game, the game client automatically pulls down the avatar from the internet. Usually it's stored on IPFS, but you could also store it on like any web server. But it's brought down from the internet, and that allows us to effectively do interoperable avatars. So if you, let's say you have a collection that has a load of VRMs, and they're associated to the NFTs in EAS, then it effectively makes this entire collection interoperable across different game worlds that make use of Emergence, which is like one of our big features. I'm sure Alicia would love to have talked about herself if she wasn't very ill.
So I think potentially just where a lot of people are trying to access this all at the same time, maybe our server's just running a little slow. So let's just show the video. So you can see here, and this is actually a bit better because you'll be able to see my phone as well. You see right there that I was on Lamina1 in my MetaMask. It prompts me to swap to Polygon because this contract is written in Polygon, and then it comes up with a write transaction request here. I confirm that. It takes a moment to submit, and then once that's confirmed, I'm going to go back over to here, open the overlay, and when I edit my persona here and go to replace my avatar, you'll see that I now have the Emergence avatar in there. I can use that, and it just takes a moment to update. And then I was using the avatar as you were seeing before. So that's what that should look like. I think it's just the curse of doing live demos means that that is not what's happened on the screen, but that's why we record backups. Okay. In terms of all of the content in here, just running through the demo, that's everything we have. So I think the plan now is just to swap to breaking down like how we put this demo together, but I don't know if it's a good time just to pause, like see if there's any questions from people in the chat, or if anyone else on the stage has anything to talk about first.
I have a question actually. Using EAS, Lincoln Experience and Emergence, can my users bring in avatars across all of the chains that you guys support? So even if I'm building an experience on Lamina1, primarily, would people be able to import their avatars from Polygon or Ethereum or any other chain you support in that experience?
You can bring in avatars from every chain that is supported by EAS, which right now is currently only Polygon and Ethereum, but we're currently doing a lot of reworking of things, so it's going to then become all of the ones which we index, which will be at least Polygon and Ethereum, and maybe some others in the future. That said, it's worth mentioning that the reading and writing to blockchains component of, as in reading and writing directly to smart contracts as opposed to reading from like indexed blockchains, the part that's for reading and writing specifically to smart contracts works with any EVM chain, which is obviously how it's going to work with Lamina1. So to answer your question, different parts of Emergence work with different sets of blockchains. So there's reading and writing, which is all EVM blockchains, and then it's EAS, which is currently specifically Polygon and Ethereum, but mostly that's going away soon, and we're going to replace it with just the ones that we index, which is basically going to start out being Polygon and Ethereum, but then additional chains are going to be brought into that. And then there's also the inventory service, which right now is some specific chains which include Polygon and Ethereum and some others. I think Solana, Tezos, Immutable X. So basically we have a lot of the different feature sets of Emergence target different sets of chains, but if that makes sense.
I think as well, just the other couple of things to mention. One is just that with EAS, we definitely don't think we're finished, and there's like a lot that we want to do with that. I don't think there's anything we're ready to share today, but like that we see going forward is like going to be a really exciting place for us to continue to develop. That's why it's important for us to do these workshops and take those sorts of questions as well, just because it helps inform what we're going to build going forwards. And then, unless there are other questions, I think what you were saying there, Chris, ties quite nicely into just talking about how we set up this demo, because there's like ways that you can set up chains in Emergence that you don't actually have to have them be supported by us directly. We have the fundamentals there in terms of reading and writing to smart contracts, and then everything else really is sort of built on top of that. And what we're aiming to do as much as possible is just to build kind of abstractions on top of that, like base level functionality. That means that all of the common things that you're going to want to do when building your Web3 games, we make that a lot easier, a lot more streamlined for you. Again, it's another reason why we're always trying to talk to the community as much as possible, because we're trying to make things that you're doing all the time much easier. So it's really good for us to know what you're doing all the time. It seems like Alicia has got all of the chat stuff.
Yeah, I was about to say, big shout out to Alicia
Yeah.
doing the tech support in the chat there. We will have a proper Q&A at the end as well, where you can raise your hand and we can invite you up on stage. So I think if we just crack on for now, Tom, and then
okay,
we can get to that.
Let's break this down. So the Emergence singleton prefab, and we call it the singleton because we're across Unreal and Unity, but it's a prefab. And essentially all you need really to get started with Emergence is just to drag this into your scene. And then the configuration object, you can see here, I've got this L1 configuration object. That then has the IPFS gateway and the chain. So the IPFS gateway, you can replace that if you have your own IPFS gateway, but we provide one. And then the chain is just like whatever the currency that you want to appear in the persona overlay UI. So, it's changed my file, 1 second. And then, if we go into resources, so with the version, the Unity version that is coming very soon, we're in the late stages of testing it to get this onto the asset store. You'll see in the resources folder there's a Lamina1 betanet chain by default. So you could follow this process to add other chains, but if we're talking about Lamina1 here, we've added in the RPC URL, the chain ID, the network name, and then same for the currency symbol and currency name as well. So with that chain set up, and the Emergence prefab in the scene, next thing that we need is a smart contract that we want to interact with. So there are two smart contract objects. There's the smart contract object and the deployed smart contract object. So the smart contract object takes the ABI for the smart contract. So it's essentially just telling Emergence, here's all of the code contained within the smart contract. You can find the ABI on the Block Explorer as well. Somewhere, here it is, under code, contract ABI. You can copy it in from here. And then on the deployed smart contract, you're telling Emergence the details about where that contract is deployed. So the address of the contract object itself, and then the chain as well. So then, let's take a look at some code. So,
you might want to zoom in a bit for this one.
Yes. Let me open the grip for the mint station first. So it's really straightforward. Essentially, there's this code up here that is ready, and the triggers, that's just to do with the button. The actual code that we care about is really contained just within these two methods. So the contract service is one of the service interfaces in the SDK. We split it up, so there's a contract service, a persona service, for example. So we're sectioning off pieces of the Emergence SDK just so you're not interacting with the whole thing at once. So in this case we care about the contracts, so we're going to use the contract service. The contract info, which is just being created from the deployed contract object being passed in, because this is a mono behavior, so we're passing this in the Unity UI, so you can see that you can see that here. We're just passing in that deployed smart contract object that we were just looking at. Okay, and then the demo station, once it has been activated, we call this mint L1 token, and that is going to call this write method. So we don't need the local account name in, we don't need the gas price in for this one. The method name is specified up here in this contract info object. The value, so this is just one L1 in way. I don't know, is it still called way on L1? I suppose it is. Which is why this is 1 and 18 zeros rather than just 1. It doesn't require a body at all, this particular method, but if you have a method that requires parameters, you pass them in here. And then this uses a callback pattern. So there's an on-write success and an on-error. So on error, it goes to the Emergence logging system. And then on success, it comes down here, and it says mint called successfully.
Yeah. It's worth
just
mentioning.
Briefly. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so obviously we're passing in like a deployed contract. The idea here is that, like, let's say your game you've made, like you're working on a test chain, and then you've got a different chain that's like you've got like your test net and your main net. I don't know how that works with Lamina1, but let's say you're in that situation. It just means that you can go, okay, I've got this deployed contract here, but I want to change up my entire game to now talk to this other deployed contract. You can just swap out the address of the contract and the blockchain of the contract, and then you've completely switched over to another blockchain or another instance of that contract to work with. So it just allows you to encapsulate the idea of working with a contract rather than having to go through all of your code and go, oh, I need to update all of this. It's also a nicer, tidier way of dealing with the ABI, which obviously is a rather large block of it's just a big string basically that you've got to deal with. So now you don't have to worry about having that defined in every write method that you do. You can just put it in the deployed contract, and if the ABI changes and the deployed contract location changes, I guess they would have to change it at the same time, but if that happens, then you just have one place to deal with it all. Also, the same for blockchains is, like, if you decide you want to change RPC node, or let's say the beta net becomes a main net for L1, which I guess is the plan, you just need to update it in one place.
What I was going to flag here is just that we use our own logging system, Emergence Logger, in all of our internal code, and then in all of the demos. It's not essential in any way, but what it does mean is that in the Emergence prefab, I believe it's in the Emergence prefab, yeah, here, you can set the log level and you can set it to off. It's just because, like, in the past, when we've experienced like using Unity plugins, it can be very annoying sometimes to download something into your project, and then it's filling your console with spam, essentially, that you're not interested in. So you can actually turn all of the logging off in Emergence, and it's just like one of the ways in which, like, we're trying to build something that you can actually use to create a project. It's not just sort of demo stuff where it's, if you've got a really big project and you want to integrate Emergence into it, we're constantly thinking about what are the things that we need to give our developers so that this can actually, serve as the foundation of something long term. The same way, and it's in the same way of what Chris was saying there as well. We're not just sort of working out the fastest way to do these things. We're trying to help you build something that's sustainable in terms of code. Okay, so it's all of the same setup for the demo station for the second button. So on the second button, it's going to check if the token is minted. It uses the same contract info, except from now we're looking at the address mint button. And you can see here, this one obviously requires an address to be sent as well. So we're getting that from the Emergence singleton and the get cached address. So there's also a get address. Is that right? There are methods that update the address from the like it will actually perform an asynchronous check to get the address, essentially, is what I'm trying to say, whereas get cached address is good in cases where you know that it's not possible for this flow to be called if you're not signed in, for example, because you could sign out, but there would still be a cached address. So you do have to be careful when using the cached method. But all of our methods that do any caching either have it in the name or in the doc tag. Okay, so same again here. The callback on success, and then the error callback. So on success, all that's doing is just setting the trophy active to true. Should that response check if the response says the token is minted or not? Yes. Sorry. So I skipped over that. Address mint is asking how many times the token was minted on this address.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, so on this one it should only be 0 or 1 because you can only mint it once.
Yeah.
If you're talking about on mint, if it errors, like if you had already minted, it would respond with an error, so you can make sure that the transaction has actually gone through, and if the transaction goes through, you should get a transaction hash. Unity does confirmations, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So you'll also have a. Does it do it as a separate event?
Yeah, sorry. So that was what I was saying before. So it will automatically, every time you do a write transaction, it will then attempt to confirm that transaction automatically in the background. It's configurable in the code, but off the top of my head, I believe it checks like every 10 seconds for 2 minutes until it gets 2 confirmations, I believe, is how it's like set up by default.
Yeah, and by confirmations, obviously we're talking about like when the head block of the chain is higher than is like a certain amount higher than the block which contained the transaction, to make sure that the mint has gone through, and nobody's going to write a new block that says something else, I guess.
So just the only little detail left is just I have this trophy object in the scene, and I'm setting it to active when the read is successful. So you can imagine how like you could have areas of your online world, for example, and you're only allowed to open the door if a certain token is present in your inventory, for example, or once you've minted this trophy, it might then use information stored on the blockchain in the game world. So not this specific contract, but you might have a smart contract that when you mint it also mints the time it took you to finish a race, for example. And then at a later date you could access that metadata in the game as well. So there's like a lot of interesting things you can do here. And like this demo really is just here to show you the real fundamentals of everything going on in Emergence, and also to show that you can be using Lamina1 with Emergence now, which is something that we're really excited about on both teams. Alicia's asking if I can just start a fresh scene. I can do that. Let's call it fresh scene.
On Unity, what platforms does this work on? Mac and PC,
it worked
right?
On Mac and PC. So for WebGL, we're essentially not currently like doing first-party support for WebGL. Like as far as we understand it, like if you're determined to get the project set up in WebGL, I think it's probably possible, but we haven't built out the first-party support yet. There are technical like implementation reasons why it doesn't work out the box. right now, which I won't bore people by going into. But essentially, it is possible and it's on the roadmap, but unfortunately, we haven't got there yet. Okay, so I'm just going to start a fresh scene. I'm going to put the emergence overlay in. Let's set it to open on Z. And we need to give it an emergence configuration as well. I will grab the default configuration from here. And this is really this is just an empty scene with just the prefab, and you can see that I can, in fact, sign in. MetaMask is loading. Yeah, so when we say all you need to put into your scene is the emergence prefab, that is actually everything that you need. It's all contained within that prefab, and then you just need to give it a configuration to get up and running. And then, and I think I'll leave it at this, but just as like kind of a loose thread for people to pull on. Obviously, there's the emergence demo stuff that you can take a look at and just like really interrogate those. But if you take a look at these emergence services, let's take a look at the persona service, for example, and you'll see that these have like all of the methods in, like it's documented. There's documentation online as well. So everything that you'd want to do through Emergence pretty much is contained within these services. So I would say if you're sort of looking at this and thinking this seems really interesting, you know, what's a good starting point? I think a good starting point is just rip apart all of the code in the Emergence demo, in the Lamina1 demo. I've got some example scripts in here as well. Sort of understand what's happening there, and then when you go, okay, I'm ready to build something, a good place to go is these services. That's where you're going to find all of the highest level kind of stuff where hopefully you'll be able to get started. But of course, the other thing to say is we're active in the Discord, so send us some messages in the Discord, let us know what you're up to, and we'll support you in any way we can.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning, like, what we've dived into today is like probably like 20% of the features. Like we've got an inventory service. Obviously, we showed a bit of the avatar service, but there's a lot. Obviously, you can do a lot more you can do with it than just that. We've got dynamic metadata as well. All of this stuff is in the docs that we've got for both Unreal and Unity. I guess everyone here cares more about the Unity than the Unreal ones, but I guess we'll see tomorrow. And we've got, like, you know, lots of features planned as well, I guess. Is there any other? We've got like key store support as well. I know I'm just sort of saying like technical terms, but I don't. How much more time do we have to go into? Do we have time to go into them?
We've got 15 minutes for Q&A, but I will hand back over to the Lamina1 guys and just see, you know, if they've got anything that they want to sort of recap before we get to the Q&A.
I had a few things, and thank you. This was all helpful to see it all in action. One thing would be talking about tracking the head of the chain. One thing that's different from Lamina1, between Lamina1 and say like Ethereum, is we have single block finality. So you shouldn't have to wait more than the current block to check to see if a transaction is final. So that's just one small detail when you're developing that you can keep in the back of your mind. If you are developing and you want like a test chain to develop on, there are a couple of options you have available to you. One is you can launch a full version of the Lamina1 chain where you can basically mint as many coins as you want and control as many wallets as you want. You could launch a subnet on the beta net which would give you kind of an EVM chain where, again, you can set up your own currency, mint as many coins as you want, but then you'd also be able to, say, get people within the Lamina1 ecosystem to also test whatever you're developing live on the beta net. And then, if you really wanted to, you could launch directly to the beta net, but you would have kind of limited options in terms of having limited currency with which to use to whatever smart contract you're using in your experience. So there are a couple different ways you can go there. Most of the existing Ethereum test networks or any EVM network is going to operate very similar, other than some of those minor differences like confirmation time. So you could even test it on other blockchains and then bring it to the Lamina1 beta net when you're ready. So yeah, there are a couple options available to you. I just wanted to point that out.
That makes a lot of sense, because we were looking at this and going like, wow, the blocks are slow on Lamina1, but it's actually, the blocks are almost faster than everyone else if you've got the finality thing you were saying, right?
A single block finality. Yeah, it's a little bit of a trade-off, but yeah, the benefit is you don't have to wait long.
Yeah.
Once
effectively, you don't need confirmations, right? So you can just
right, exactly.
Yeah. So effectively, if you're working with Emergence, probably just set confirmation 0 on the right method. If you're working with Lamina1, it's very good for games because you don't have to wait as long as well.
Yeah, that was a primary driver. I mean, it's something we adopted from Avalanche, but it was something that really drew us to their consensus approach.
Awesome.
Well, I think it might be time for some Q&A. We've got a few being asked in the chat here. Let's go with, are P2P transactions supported? You can also raise your hands or request to come up on stage. Yeah, are P2P transactions supported? I think we might need some more context on that question, unless anyone else wants to jump in.
Yeah, I'm going to need more context.
I think wallet transfers of currency?
No, it's unless maybe if you've got like one of those like custodial smart contract wallet things where you can like call a method on a wallet to transfer money to it.
We actually have this individual up on stage. I'm afraid I can't see your full username because I'm recording this on Zoom. It's gone into streaming thing where it's hiding some people's usernames. So I've only got B and then an ellipses. But you are up on stage, my friend. Feel free to unmute and ask your question.
Yes, hi everybody. This is awesome. I wanted to ask if, like peer-to-peer or player-to-player transactions are supported. In other words, say I really like the mount that somebody else is using, and they have a hat that I have that they really want to trade with me. Would that kind of transaction be sort of supported, or is that something that we have to do on a off-chain, which of course, sorry, not off-chain, but off-client, right? Yeah, outside of the experience, which, that can be problematic in and of itself. Adding that element of trust might be pretty convenient.
Yes, kind of. In the sense that you can, if you're a game developer, you can have your game interact with a escrow contract. So you'd have one where both players put something in and then it does the trade, which is obviously what you'd want in that situation, because you don't want to like send the trade and the other person doesn't send the trade like some sort of like RuneScape scam or something, but it does. Basically, Emergence can talk to literally any EVM smart contract. As far as sending currency to, like, if you wanted to send like Lamina1 currency to another player, it doesn't do it to, unless it's a function it can call on a smart contract. It's not going to work, basically. But it does it to literally any smart contract, because you put in an ABI and you call methods. So if you have an escrow contract and the game is set up to talk to the escrow contract, it will work. But it's up to the game developer to implement that. We are not telling the game developer that you must have this as a feature of your game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's actually much better now that I think about it, because of course, like you can authenticate that an asset is, well, part of a specific contract and not like just a lookalike, right?
Yeah.
The other question I had was about ENS discovery. So in other words, can I? Well, I suppose if it's just fully EVM compatible, then the answer is yes. But would that also be up to developers themselves to make it?
Currently, ENS, we don't natively support it in the UI, but like if you wanted to implement that yourself. And by the way, this is something we've at points the Web3 guy on our team, Agu, has talked about. Oh, we should put like this in as a feature, and it's like it'd be like a nice to have, but we've never prioritized it. Maybe we will in the future, but it's certainly something that you could implement using the read and write methods, is ENS support or any other type of name service.
Right. Well, thank you for answering my questions. I think a lot of people fade ENS support, but it's huge for like the social aspect of it. So if I develop something, then yeah, definitely do it. But if there was some code already pre-written, that'd be amazing. And lastly, Lamina1 airdrop, when? That would be super nice.
We just actually released an airdrop about a week ago to all our existing community members. I think we're going to.
Oh my god!
We're doing a follow-up one for new members to the community here in about a week and a half or so. But so there's still a chance to get some BetaNet tokens in that airdrop. But yeah, the main one was about a week and a half ago.
Nice. Right, thank you guys. Appreciate it. This looks amazing. Well done.
Awesome. And while we've got everyone here, I have just posted into the chat that there is a bounty for everyone. Just take a screenshot showing your username and you clearly in this workshop, and then you can submit it to our bounties portal. The link is in the chat and it will close very soon because it's just for those of you who have attended today.
Am I allowed to do
Do we
this?
have? Sorry?
So am I allowed to do this as well?
Yeah.
I personally think it should be retained for our community members and audience here. But yeah, it's 5 bounty points for taking a screenshot. And we really appreciate you all attending and coming today. With that in mind, do we have any further questions from the audience here? If you have a question, feel free to pop it into the chat, or if you would like to request to speak and come up on stage, then please do so as well. Aha, I have a hand raised, I believe.
Just very briefly as well, just on all of these questions as well, like feature requests and things like that. If you've got a really cool project that you can sort of show off to us in some way in the Discord or something like that, when we're talking about we'll support your project and things like that, if you've got a feature that you'd really like, you've got a really cool project and stuff like that, we're really open to taking suggestions in that way, basically. So you know, feel free to sort of to lobby for features in the Discord for sure. It's not a guarantee that we'll make something, but you know, it really helps us kind of inform our roadmap.
Chris, I think I put this on the chat, but for the trading, essentially, that marketplace kind of question from Benevol, maybe we could share the video. I know we have it on our dev doc somewhere where we did an example. This was more with an NPC, right? But where you go up to the stall of this NPC, he's got some wares, and then you do the live trade inside the engine. So maybe we could just link that example somewhere. Yeah. As Chris said, everything that can be done via smart contract is possible. And what we're providing then is the really easy to read and write back to any method via Emergence. So we could totally provide those examples of how we did that trading with the NPC.
Yeah, if I can find it. I think I found it. Here is the entire video, and the example of the trading happens at 2 minutes 30.
Alistair, were there more questions? I feel like I saw someone's hand.
Yep, we've got a couple of hands raised. Cypher, I have invited you up to speak, and Lemon K Juice as well, I believe. So you should have an invite to come on up.
Lemon K Juice is Agu, by the way, from our team. So hey, Agu.
The invite is out there. If anyone else wants to... Here we are. Cypher, how you doing? You're on mute by default, but we would love your question.
Hello, hi everybody. Can you hear me now?
My microphone. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Oh.
We can hear, I think, two people. I think both Lemon and Cypher came on at the same time.
Well, I just have a quick question. Well, I've been minting VRMs to the blockchain for about a year now on the Layer 1 DSO blockchain, and I just got a invite to the Lens protocol, which mints on Polygon. And they also have an option to mint VRMs to the blockchain. So my question is, what makes Emergence any different than what I've been doing? I know you guys have an indexer and everything, but I wanted to know more about how the indexer works and like where does the contract actually go? Does the user have the contract for the collection once they deploy the contract? And what is the value proposition that Emergence offers other than what I've been using thus far?
So Emergence, firstly, VRM contracts are always controlled by the deployer, whether that be, you know, you or whoever you're minting through. So if it's like OpenSea or the ones you mentioned, they remain the controllers of the VRM contract. We don't want to deal with that right now. So it's more that we look at the contract and we go, okay, there's the VRM, and then we display it in Emergence, or right now we do it through EAS where you have to link it manually. But the point is, like, it's not like you can deploy VRMs through Emergence as it is right now. If that, I think that answered like half of your question.
I can, yeah, I was going to say, I can take the second half in terms of the value proposition. What we're aiming for at the highest level with Emergence is just to make Web3 integrations into game engines really easy. So specifically the value proposition for us in terms of VRMs is there's all of these people making these really great VRMs. There's all of these people with really great ideas to make games or experiences in Unreal and Unity, and it's just like meeting those two people in the middle with here are the tools to easily get your VRMs into games.
Okay, so when will the Unity SDK be available for mainnet?
It's available right now.
Okay, so where can I get it?
I will get that link for you. It should have come out in the invite to the thing as well. But
Yeah, it's in the
chat.
If you head over to the announcements channel, it's all in there.
Okay, so does your indexer have like metadata that's pulled by other metaverse platforms that have the indexer for the Emergence to search for those NFTs and those avatars?
Hey, yeah, sorry, my phone switched from speaker to the phone function, so yeah.
Exactly. Is this relevant just to finding more VRMs via the indexer, or something more generic?
Yeah, I think he's asking that our indexer right now
and I think
has. Oh, can you hear
He's
me?
not
Sorry.
muted.
Yeah, I can hear Augie.
Risha, I think you have him muted.
I was saying,
sorry.
We have indexed and cataloged all the 3D models that we found on the blockchain, which have publicly available information. Also, one of our team members, MetaMike, has a very cool list on VRMs that he found by himself. So we're going to offer search tools that allow you to find any kind of NFT that has 3D models associated to it, either through publicly available metadata or private metadata. We want to standardize this so users can access these models automatically through our system. Right now, I think this was mentioned before, we have kind of a manual process where we are testing these tools, but we want to automate this as far as we can.
All right, thank you. I'll download the SDK and I'll get started and see what you guys have there. And if it's something that I feel will be advantageous to my collection, then I'll definitely deploy on there. Also, I was about to deploy to the Byte. They have like a similar kind of minting platform, but I'm just trying to get an idea of like what is the difference between your solution and other solutions that are already out there.
I'm just going to jump in there, just in the essence of time here, and given that we are already 3 minutes over, I think this is a good conversation to have over in our general chat, or in chat Emergence SDK, either one of those. I'm really sorry to cut you off. I'm just conscious we've got a little bit of wrapping up to do, and then we do need to close things down here. But we will be back tomorrow. So thank you so much, Cypher. Please pop your question in regards to Vibe over into the general chat channel, and we'll come back to you as soon as possible on that one.
All right, we'll do. And thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Here we go. All right, awesome. Well, thank you all so much, and everyone that has come in and joined us here. I believe that there is a little survey that is being dropped into the chat as well. With regards to the bounties from our side of things, there should be a button for you to connect your Discord. So it says click and there's the little Discord logo, and you'll need to connect your Discord and then submit through there. If there are any issues with that, then please feel free to slide into my DMs and I will help you out on that regard. They're open until tomorrow, but just make sure you've got a screenshot with your username, because that's how we'll verify it, obviously, with your username and you in here as well. So yeah, Casey, I think you've got some closing remarks from your side of things.
Yes, I thank you so much. So yeah, I just put in, so 2 things. One thing is that I just dropped a feedback form in the chat. This feedback form is basically, you know, how did you like this workshop? What future workshops or topics would you like both of our teams to kind of dive into? Again, this is one of the first things. This is kind of like our first workshop together, but we're already talking about doing some follow-ups on more specific topics. So definitely fill out that form if you're interested in joining, if you've got some ideas, and also if you are interested in launching a space or an item collection on Lamina1. So my second CTA is that Lamina1, we're launching actually our first kind of explorable demo metaverse space, as well as NFT items on the Lamina1 hub and on our platform over the next couple of days. We're super excited for our community to sort of dive into them. There's a lot of really cool, interesting stuff happening on the like interoperability front, and also just like a really cool game that we've put together that kind of showcases how we might start building future kind of demo spaces on the chain together. So if you're interested, you know, now that you've got the tools you need to, you know, link your game engine experiences up to Lamina1 through the Emergence toolkit, if you're interested in launching a space or an asset collection or anything on our chain, definitely reach out to us at ecosystem@lamina1.com. Gordon, who was on stage a little bit earlier, he's been on tons of calls with interested creators kind of talking about what those next steps would be. We're really looking to populate the platform with all sorts of cool interactive things over the next couple of months. So definitely reach out to us if you've got an idea. I think, you know, on our end, we're going to be dropping regular quests. And we are working now on the details of a token and cash grants program for builders, where we're going to be able to kind of support builders who are launching experiences on BetaNet and then eventually, you know, on the Lamina1 mainnet when we go live. So definitely, you heard it here first. Reach out to us. Let us know if you're building something. We'd love to talk to you.
Awesome.
That's my spiel.
Thank you. Amazing. Thank you so much, Casey, Gordon, and Will. For everyone that has tuned in, Open Meta, we are a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO, committed to cultivating a community focused on constructing and advancing the open metaverse, functioning as an organizing, delegating, and knowledge sharing hub. Open Meta aims to ensure that the continued openness of Web3, promoting a culture of inclusion and decentralization. And as part of this, we are building a number of tools, the first of which is Emergence, which you have just learned about today. But thank you so much for coming into our community. We hope that you stick around. If you have any questions, comments, feedback for us, we would love to hear it so we can keep making these better and better. We've obviously got the feedback form. If you have any direct questions on a technical level, head over to our dev support channel. And if you just want to shoot some GIFs around, then you know, pop into general. GIFs are now enabled. But on that note, unless anyone else has anything to add, yeah, it's going to be thank you and good night, and maybe see some of you tomorrow.
Thanks so much, everyone. This is great.
Guys, see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. Oh, and make sure to go follow Lamina1. That's Lamina1 official on Twitter, and also Open Meta DAO on Twitter. Let's pump those numbers, and we'll see you tomorrow.